It wasn't a malfunction. It was asking for her, specifically. I'd been at Coordinate Reach for 14 months before anyone in Fleet Signals Command bothered to tell me what the listening post was actually for. Officially, I was a junior linguistics analyst assigned to atmospheric noise filtering. Unofficially, I spent my shift scrubbing static off a feed nobody expected to matter, on a rust-streaked relay platform bolted to the edge of a gas giant's ring system, 3 jumps from anywhere anyone wanted to be. My supervisor called it punishment duty. I called it quiet, which after the last posting I'd had, was its own kind of luxury. Then Command released the Merc Strider. I only found out after the fact, the way most of us did, a requisition order buried 4 pages deep in a maintenance log, authorizing live deployment of asset coal into the lower ring debris field as a deterrent against smuggler traffic. Asset coal turned out to be 11 meters of armored, bioluminescent apex predator, amphibious, axolotl coated down to the feathered gill fronds along its jaw, bred and conditioned by a black budget program to do exactly one thing: terrify anything smaller than itself into changing course. It worked for about 6 weeks. Smuggler traffic through the ring field dropped to nothing. Command was pleased. Then the deterrent stopped attacking ships and started doing something nobody in xenophonic conditioning had a category for. It started transmitting. Not roaring, not thrashing, pulsing. Long, structured bursts of bioluminescent light along its dorsal ridge, repeating, varying, repeating again with small deliberate changes, the way you'd repeat a word back to someone slower the second time so they'd catch it. The optical sensors on the relay platform picked it up as ambient light scatter and nearly nothing else, filed automatically under noise, the same drawer where they'd filed every inconvenient signal at Coordinate Reach for a decade. I almost filed it there too. Except I'd spent 6 years before this posting cataloging first contact pulse languages for the Compact's translation core, and something in the rhythm itched at me the way a misheard word itches before you place it. I pulled 3 days of raw feed and ran it through every comparison model I still had clearance for. The pattern wasn't random. It wasn't predator display either. Display patterns peak and decay, they don't iterate. This iterated. It corrected itself. On the 4th night I overlaid the pulse timing against the only thing on the platform with a matching cadence, my own console's idle ping, the one I left running out of habit, a holdover from training, a slow even heartbeat broadcasting on an open low band that nothing was supposed to be listening to. Something was listening to it. And answering it back, in something that wanted, very badly, to be understood. I sent a reply. Just the ping, structured the way its own bursts were structured, looped back at it across 40,000 kilometers of cold dark and ring debris. It took 11 minutes for the answer to come, 11 minutes during which I sat very still and did not breathe right, and when it came, it wasn't the same pattern repeated. It was the same pattern, refined. Cleaner. Closer to mine. It had been correcting toward me. I should have flagged it to my supervisor that hour. I told myself I would, once I understood what I was looking at, and that excuse held for 9 days, during which Cole stopped attacking anything at all, stopped patrolling its assigned debris sector, and instead held position at the closest stable point in the ring field to Coordinate Reach's relay dish, close enough that its pulses came through clean, close enough that ships passing through the field gave it a wide, nervous berth without it so much as turning its head. On the 10th day, Command noticed the patrol gap and decided the deterrent had gone feral. Commander Issa Brawl arrived on the supply shuttle with a containment crew, a revised kill order, and exactly 0 patience for my objections. She'd run conditioning ops longer than I'd been alive, and to her, a war asset that stopped attacking on schedule wasn't a discovery. It was a liability with teeth, sitting 40,000 kilometers from a crude station, doing something she couldn't predict, and the one rule she built a career on was that unpredictable was the same as dangerous. It's not feral, I told her, in the cramped relay platform comms bay, with the readouts from 9 days of pulse data spread across every screen I had. It's not even hunting. It hasn't taken a kill in 11 days. It's been holding the same position, transmitting the same way, getting closer to a match every single cycle. A match to what? To me. To my idle signal. Commander, it isn't malfunctioning. It's trying. She looked at the screens the way you'd look at a child's drawing someone was insisting was a legal document. Trying to do what, analyst Vren? I didn't have a tidy word for it. The honest answer, trying to talk to me, trying to be heard by someone for the first time in its conditioned, weaponized life, sounded like exactly the kind of thing a lonely analyst on a forgotten posting would convince herself of. So I said the only thing that mattered operationally, trying to be understood before you put a kill order through something that stopped being a weapon. Brawl's answer was to have her crew run charge to the platform's old deterrent cannon, original equipment, never decommissioned, mounted on the relay dish gantry exactly because nobody had ever expected to need it for anything except the asset it was about to be turned on. I did the only thing I had left. I opened the low band, full broadcast, no filtering, and sent everything, 9 days of overlay data, my own idle ping, every refinement Cole had sent back to me, looped together into one long deliberate transmission aimed at the one place in the ring field I knew it was listening. It answered in under 4 minutes. Not a pulse this time. A shape, the dish's outer sensor array caught the wake of it cutting through the ring debris at a speed that shouldn't have been possible for something 11 meters long, and Cole surfaced against the platform's outer hull with its dorsal ridge blazing a pattern I recognized instantly, because it was mine, sent back whole, unbroken, perfect. It held there. Not attacking. Not retreating. An apex predator built and bred to terrify, pressed flush against a relay platform's hull, transmitting the one thing it had spent 9 days learning how to say. Brawl's containment crew had their hands on the cannon controls. Nobody fired. I don't fully know why. Maybe it was the size of the thing, lit up and gentle against a hull it could have torn open without trying. Maybe it was that even a conditioning commander recognizes the difference between a threat display and an answer, once she's standing close enough to see it. Maybe it was that I was already out on the gantry without my coat, hand flat against the cold viewport glass, answering the only way I had left, which was to stay where it could see me and not move. Whatever the reason, the cannon never charged past standby. Brawl called it off herself, quietly, the way people do things they're not ready to explain yet. It took 6 weeks of filed reports, 2 independent xenocognition reviews, and 1 very long hearing before the Compact's Fauna Bond Office reclassified asset Cole from deterrent ordnance to first contact adjacent cognition event. Civilian custody pending, language dry enough to mean nothing to anyone who hadn't lived it, and everything to the 2 of us who had. The hearing officer asked me, near the end, what I wanted the file to say about what had actually happened out there. I told her to write it down plain, it wasn't malfunctioning. It was asking for her, specifically. And she finally answered back. Cole still holds position off coordinate reaches relay dish most cycles, close enough that I can read its dorsal ridge from the comms bay without instruments. Some nights it pulses something new, something I haven't matched yet, and I sit up late running comparisons until I find the shape of it. Brawl, when she ships through on inspection runs now, doesn't reach for the cannon controls anymore. She just looks at the readout, looks at the dark water black shape pressed patient against the hull, and writes 1 line into her log before she leaves, answered, not silenced. It's become the only doctrine coordinate reach actually enforces. Spark, the arrival, 1996, faint seed only, a hidden signal in dismissed noise turns out to be a deliberate, intelligent presence, no plot, characters, or scenes carried over.